good evening, good afternoon, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Ladies Lounge and other places. Tonight I am joined obviously by my co-creator and very good friend Viv Adcock, and also our gentleman, Mr. Selwyn Jones.
Which I noticed my name got left
Your
out.
name
Rude.
did get left out.
Good start, Tiff.
And my employee.
Hey, everyone.
Later.
Yes, and Mr. Andrew, I think you're going to have to do the surname, Andrew, or maybe Viv can do it.
It's Litten Hitchens. It's individually very easy. Put them together and most people have got no clue.
So welcome, gents, to the Ladies Lounge. We wanted to come on tonight. It was a conversation that was inspired by something that I heard Dane here talking about in a class recently. And he was talking about how he was on the plane with his partner, Emily, and he was sort of talking about how, this is not enough. Like, I need more, I want more. And he also was talking about how Emily went straight to this place of, what does that mean? You hate me, you want to break up with me. And it was amazing to me to listen to him talking about this, because I was like, wow, same story. Like I've experienced this in our relationship more than a few times. So I was like, wow, what is it with relationships that keeps us in a place where we don't want to grow and we don't want to expand? Because if we choose that, we feel like we're going to lose something, or lose the relationship, or lose the other person, or lose ourselves even sometimes.
Don't know what you're talking about, Tiff.
And I'm like, who better to have this conversation with than Andrew?
Yeah, except it's me. It's my pea-head reptilian part of my brain that goes where Emily's brain went.
It's like those 4 words, we need to talk, those 4 words that put the fear of God into everybody, whether you're a man or a woman. But I think probably more women say we need to talk. And, what goes on for guys when they hear that?
It's like, oh, fuck, what have I done now?
The way to strike terror in the gents.
Indeed.
So, yeah, that whole thing of, how often do we hold ourselves back? And often we're not even aware that we're holding ourselves back. If you're getting too happy, or you're getting too successful, or I don't know, you're just too sexual, or you're just beaming, it can make other people uncomfortable. And for a lot of people that maybe go to, courses or workshops, or they do self-empowerment, or they come to, things like access consciousness, where they gain more of them. They walk out of a class or a session a different person, feeling more like themselves, having a lot more awareness of who they are and what's possible. And they get that creative side of them comes back to life. And that often threatens the partner, or even friends or family members, that then try to use whatever tactics, whether they're conscious of it or not, to kind of even the playing field. Or, my ex-husband, when I was with him, I would go away on an amazing course and come back really happy and light and spacious, and really, oh, let's do this, and we could do this. And I had all of these great ideas that would only improve both of our lives. And he would prod and poke. And within a very short period of time, we'd have a fight. And then I felt like I'd lost all my happy and lost all the space. I'm like, you do this every time. And then I realized, okay, there's a pattern to this. Every time I get really expansive and light and less judgment and less fixedness in my world, he would create something to feel comfortable again, and to try and get me back to a frequency or a way of functioning that made him feel comfortable. So yeah, that was one of the big things to me. And I had to make the demand of myself to just go, you know what, no matter what, I am not losing my happy. I'm not giving up that creative capacity. I'm not losing that part of me that I really enjoy because somebody else isn't ready to fly yet. And that was the other part. It was like, but I just wanted to drag him with me. You know, I just, because I was so happy, I just assumed that he wanted it too. And it took me a long time. Good job, I'm cute. Took me a long time to realize, wow, he doesn't actually want what I want. And then where do you go with that?
It just, really pinged when you were talking about that, Viv, when pretty early on in our relationship, Viv went to a 7-day event in Langkawi, an Access Consciousness event. And, I stayed here. And when Viv jumped off the plane and I met her down at the airport, it was like, wow, she's like a whole different person. Like her whole body was like beaming, and like it's like every molecule was shimmering and shining, and her skin was soft and looked mellow, and it was like she was just an upgrade. And I was like, how did I get so lucky? I get another thing to play with. I was like, how freaking cool is this? How much fun can I have here? So for me, I mean, when Viv chooses more and when she expands and becomes greater, for me it's well, sometimes it can be really uncomfortable for sure, and it forces me to choose more, or kicks my butt, I suppose, to look at where I'm at and what I'm choosing or not choosing. But having said that, it's actually exciting. It's it's what really it's a turn on in a way for me almost, like, and I enjoy it. I love it. And it's like, how did I get so lucky?
Well, I didn't pay him to say that.
No. How is it for you, Saul? Because you guys have been together a bit longer than we have. Like, we've been together, probably 4 years, I suppose. How long have you guys been together now?
Over 10. And I mean, I think one thing that you sort of touched on as well was this place of like where you can, easily go to kind of like competing in a relationship, which can just be, like end up leveling the playing field, or, trying to pull someone down. But if you can actually kind of switch that on its head and use it to out-create, I think that's when it can actually create a greater possibility for you both. And, throughout like the 10 or more years that we've been together, it's definitely been this place of, leapfrogging each other and, expanding into more, and then going, well, hey, if you're going, I want to come too. And, that being the inspiration for a different choice and a different possibility, being available.
And I think for us as well, we've kind of done that a few times now, to the point where it becomes easier, like every time. Because in the beginning, we've all experienced, and you were talking about, Andrew, that place where you're like, I noticed with myself, with Saul, when a couple of the first times that he really changed and really it was expanding more into him, I knew it was like a greatness of him, but I saw all this stuff coming up in me that I really was not proud of. I could tell myself kind of doing this weird thing of like not wanting him to change. And I think it was actually the first Relationships Done Different class that we were all at, actually. The first ever one that Simone Melissus and Brendan Watt facilitated. And it was this one facilitation where basically they got me to be willing to lose Saul. And it was that one thing where I was not willing to lose him. And as soon as that piece started to unravel, and I really got the space of the willingness to lose him and lose the relationship, that all of that difficulty and weirdness and discomfort when that stuff came up of when Saul was expanding into greater, it just all kind of went away. And now I can have it in a way where I'm like, cool, celebrating. And you know what, if it also means that our relationship changes, and it does, or goes away, that's okay too.
Yeah, you go, you guys. I was just going to say, like I have to admit, there's been a few times where Viv sort of said to me, well, I'm done, this relationship's over, I can't do this anymore. And sort of when Viv's got to that point and really sort of like, I really thought, shit, this is freaking over, where I had to really dig deep and fight for what I desired, I guess, fight for my reality, and actually take a stand and say, you know what, I'm not fucking losing, Viv, and I'll do whatever it takes to be what's required to be in this relationship and continue this relationship. And when I got to that stage, then things changed, and things, like you said, except maybe you didn't get to that point that that Viv and I were at. But yeah, I mean, but yeah, we've been there a few times, and you know, I mean, our relationship's unconventional. It's nothing like what I ever imagined. It's nothing like Viv's ever experienced or imagined how it may be, and it's not a traditional relationship from this reality, and that's probably where I've struggled the most. Most, most, yeah. I mean, and where I struggle is that I judge myself, and you know, I always have just got to say, look, you're not wrong. You know, this is, you know, it doesn't have to be like everyone else's relationship, and we just have to create it how it works for us, and be willing just to free fall sometimes, and to take it how it comes, because it's so fucking different to anything I imagined relationship would be. And certainly what, you know, I've been married once before and now divorced and have a 12-year-old son. And that first marriage that I had, it didn't work out either. But, you know, there was a lot of fantasy. There was a lot of, you know, what was projected on how it should be. And yeah, I mean, I was unhappy as hell. And yeah, at the end of the day, I created a situation where she left me, and mostly because I was being stupid and staying in a relationship because of my son and not wanting to leave. But yeah, look, it was a contribution for both of us, if we could only see it that way, for us not to be together anymore, and a contribution for my son as well. But that's another story. Not one we need to talk about tonight. But yeah, I mean, it's just interesting how things unfold and how we have all these expectations and projections and what society says a relationship should look like from the outside. And, you know, for myself, I often judge myself because it's not like that, or it's not how I would like it to be right now. It doesn't mean we're not creating it, and we're very clear about what we'd like to choose and what we'd like to create together, and we know that we can create an amazing communion together. And just because we haven't actualized all of that just yet doesn't mean that it's wrong, or that it's not right, or that, you know, we're not in the process of creating it. Yeah.
And I love that, because it's like, if you look at, you know, what most people use relationship for, it's like, you know, stability and predictability. But if you're in a relationship where it's based on change, it's like it is a totally different ball game. And you know, also that place of like not coming to conclusion with what your relationship is, but always being willing for a different possibility to show up. And yeah, like it's often not comfortable, and it's not what, you know, the majority of people choose with their relationship. So, you know, if you're listening to this and you're one of those people that are just a little bit different and you haven't always functioned the way that other people do, maybe you're, you know, like Andrew, and you're not fucked up and you're not wrong.
Not as fucked up as I think I am. But, you know, that's the thing. It's that, how often do we make ourselves wrong or judge ourselves for maybe not being everything that we know that we can be, and just choosing less instead of choosing more? And I think, you know, like the topic of tonight's conversation was about your relationship when, you know, when your partner soars or something like that. Anyway, but it's like, you know, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, it's that thing when it's your turn to soar, but you know, that place where a lot of people choose not to, because they choose to maintain the relationship rather than risk, you know, moving into that place of something that's more undefined. They stay within the realms of like safety, of like, let's just keep things the same, and oftentimes boring, you know, rather than the willingness to jump off cliffs together, but also to jump off cliffs yourself. I think that's one of the things for me that I realized with our relationship at one point was I was doing this thing of trying to have like a shared reality, and that just doesn't work. I mean, Saul's reality is Saul's reality, and my reality is my reality, and I will never know his entire reality like he does. And so I can't try and share that. But what I can do is allow him to be everything that he chooses to be, and watch and be grateful for him, and also allow myself to know what it is that I'm choosing to be, from moment to moment, day to day. And if he sticks around, awesome. And if not, then what else is possible?
Yeah.
Oh, that's where I struggle, to be honest, Tiff. If Viv doesn't stick around, well, what else is possible? I mean, I have been to places where it's like, yeah, well, I'm willing to lose her, but I don't know, for people who are watching, just to fill everyone in, I met Viv when I went to one of her prosperity consciousness classes about probably 4.5 years ago now, maybe 5 years ago, nearly coming up 5 years in December. And so, yeah, Viv was the teacher. I was the student. Viv had been doing access for, I don't know. What?
Don't know if anyone else got visuals, but I definitely did.
I couldn't help myself. But anyway, I couldn't work out why I kept on looking at Viv and couldn't take my eyes off her cleavage, and I was wondering what she'd look like undressed and what was under there. I was like, what is going on here? Seriously? Had nothing to do with Viv putting that in my head at all, but
ladies, these are the tips we can share with you, by the way.
Right. She probably wouldn't admit this, but she was like imagining that she was straddling me, and she was totally fucking with my reality while she was facilitating me and asking me questions, and I was asking her questions.
So, she does that with me, Andrew, all the time, whenever he meets.
Don't tell him, Tiff.
But you would have been doing access for what?
Yeah, a long time.
10 years when we met. So for me, it's a bit of a challenge for me often has been not putting Viv on a pedestal or not giving up my reality or making her the source, which I still often do, but it's less and less now. But yeah, I mean, the fact that I guess I was a beginner and, a newbie to access, and Viv had facilitated for so many years, I found that quite uncomfortable sometimes. And yeah, I mean, it's like I had to say to her, look, you've been doing this for a long time. It's like you be it, you live it. It's second nature to you. And like for me, like I'm freaking fried half the time, just being with you, I'm fried, I can't think straight. It's like I got a freaking permanent headache, can you run my bars every day? So it's like, for me, it was, it was a bit different. And yeah, sometimes it takes courage just to be willing to be vulnerable and be you. And yeah, sometimes that can be difficult, especially like for a guy in this sort of situation where, I don't know, I probably don't look it, but I'm a little bit younger than Viv. And and she's had a lot more experience with lots of things in life, but particularly with access. And I mean, it's just, I guess I chose to, I'm attracted to strong women and to empowered women and women that are, dynamic and are an inspiration. And so, I mean, how was I so lucky to catch Viv? Or I think she caught me, to be honest. But
something I wanted to add was when I got to the point in my relationship, because this whole thing about being willing to lose people that's really confrontational for a lot of people, because like you said, Tiff, they look for the comfort. They look for, I've got my mate, now I don't need to work at the relationship. I don't need to put any effort in, and this is often where marriages do hit that real, or relationships hit that real stale point.
There's no freaking chance of that with us. Viv's favourite comment is, in this 10 seconds.
And I basically, when I got to the place in my marriage where I'm like, you know, I've given everything I can to this. I've tried to make it work. And it's just, I was divorcing me and slowly dying because I was trying to maintain something that I knew I didn't really want to maintain. And I knew I wanted more, but I didn't know what that was. So I made a promise to myself that when I left my relationship, I would never, ever put up with mediocrity or less or make myself less than. And when I met Andrew, I said, look, you know, I'm happy to play. I said, but you need to know that this is going to be like being strapped to the front of a meteorite. And I said, you can get off at any time. It's your choice, you know. So every now and then I just say to him, are you still saying yes? Because when you go through big change, you guys would know this, when either of you go through big change, it is going to be a bit bumpy for a while you're kind of finding that new space to function with each other and still include each other in that process. It's not like, right, well, I'm done, you know, I'm willing to lose you. It's like being that space. And like you said earlier, the invitation that if they desire to be with that energy, and this can work for, you know, ladies and gents, it's like when one person grows or makes a change or, you know, becomes a different person, that there is that invitation to, you know, do you want to still play? You know, it's not this foregone conclusion that we're married forever and ever, amen. It's that, does this still work for you? Is this still honoring of you? Does this still, you know, is it still a contribution to you? And that's where, again, it's so different to be in the question and just function from what you know is true for you and be honoring of yourself and not give that up, and also still be kind and inclusive of the other person, not from this place of dictatorship, but from having that conversation and just checking in with each other. Is this, you know, are you happy? Is this working for you?
So can I ask you a question, Saul, about that? Because, you know, and Viv and I are in our relationship, usually Viv's the one that's doing more of the questioning, and I'm sort of pretty clear about what I desire and pretty sort of steady around the fact that, you know, I'm in this for the long haul, or just not even, I mean, that's a conclusion, I guess, but, you know, I'm clear about what I desire and what I'd like to create, and I'm clear about what I know is possible. So, yeah, in your relationship with Tiff, is there any of that sort of dynamic that goes on with you and Tiff, or does that sort of chop and change, or it's not a question, or like, yeah, how does that sort of stuff show itself in your relationship?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I mean, we've had a bit of a running joke of like, you know, if you want to get married, you basically have to ask me.
I think that's the same here.
But yeah, it's like, you know, for me, I think I was very much the same in that I kind of grew up with the, like, you know, traditional idea and sort of values that I had of what a relationship was. And, you know, there was a time in our life where we were together, but we also like had started to, you know, see other people as well, like within our relationship. And that for me was a huge kind of undoing of like my, you know, perception and sort of what my reality was with relationship. And, you know, it really sort of shook things up a lot. And, but it was also that experience as well where, you know, I look back at it now and I'm like actually really grateful for it, because I have way more awareness of what is actually true for me now. And also that place of like where that I know that that's not the only thing that is available. And so, yeah, I mean,
you mean me? I'm not the only thing that's available.
I mean like that idea that I had of what a relationship was,
Yeah.
you know, like, yeah. And it was all based on, you know, what I thought the right thing to do was, or, you know, what was wrong to do, or all of that stuff, you know.
So obviously that was something you guys had discussed and something that you were both willing to experience or willing to have allowance for.
Yeah, I mean, it, you know, you know, it came about in, you know, like in different ways, but I guess like, you know, that acknowledgement that we were both creating our relationship, and we also both uncreated it at times. And you know that it takes two people to create a relationship. You know, it's like it's never one person that's just calling all of the shots or making things happen. It's like you can always blame someone else for something that's going on, but yeah, it's always the both of you that are choosing and creating. So,
and I think with that, you know, a really good idea to look at that and ask yourself the question, like, how am I creating this? What am I creating here? Because for a lot of people in relationships, it's so easy to go to that place of blaming someone else. You know, it's his fault that I'm this, or it's his fault that this is happening. And it's like, hang on a second, what am I being here? Like, what am I choosing here that's creating this? And what could I choose different to create what I would truly like to have?
Come on, Tiff, you know it's always the bloke's fault. Come on, let's get real here. It's always the bloke's fault.
So what's one tool that you would use in your relationship regularly, Saul? Is there one?
I think just like being willing to keep asking questions, you know, that would be, the main tool. Is like whenever you find yourself coming to conclusion about something with your relationship, it's like, what question could you ask? And that would be my top tool.
Top tips and tools with Saul.
Yeah.
Say that after a couple of gin and tonics. And
for me,
I was asking Andrew what his top tool would be.
Yeah, I think for me too, always being in the question, because you know, one of my favorite questions is what else is possible. It's really simple, I know, but it's just, I've found it helps so much. It's I'm aware of what the possibilities are, but you know, in a tricky moment or a period of time where I'm really stuck or limiting myself or playing small or playing pathetic or whatever it may be, it's like, okay, well, you know, what else is possible here right now? So for me, that's probably my top tool that comes to mind.
Tiff, what about you, Viv?
I was just going to say, destroying and uncreating your relationship every day. And that doesn't mean that you're literally destroying it. What you're doing is you're basically anything that's happened during the day, if you've had a tiff, if you've had a bit of a point of view, or you've, had just an altercation or something, that you're actually letting that go totally and clean. You're wiping the slate clean, so that the next day you wake up, you're not carrying that forward into the following day. Like, how many times do people have an argument and they bring up something from 6 years ago? It's like, oh, for God's sake, So for me, destroying and uncreating my relationship every day, whatever's occurred, whether it's been a great day or not, so that the next day can be brand new, that it's like we're meeting each other for the first time.
And like Stephen Bowman says, it means you get to wake up with a different woman every morning.
Yeah, how's it getting better?
Tiff, what's yours?
Mine would have to be allowance. Yeah, really having that space of allowance for the other person and for them being and doing whatever they choose and not making their choices about you. And having allowance for yourself. And, it's like no one's perfect. You have shitty days, you might have days where, and this is one of the many things that I'm so grateful for about us is we have this amazing amount and space of allowance for each other. Like if one's in a shitty mood or something, we're pretty good at not making it about us. We're just like, we give the other person space. We don't make it mean anything. We don't make it about us, and for ourselves, if you're the person being a shit that day, it's just like you also get to be an allowance of yourself and be gentle with yourself. And then you can get over it like that. And it's just not even a thing.
Awesome.
Yeah. Another question I love is, what are the infinite possibilities that this could turn out far greater than I ever imagined? I use that question a lot.
Yeah. Cool.
Great conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's been an absolute treat having these lovely gents on with us. So thank you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Saul.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Viv. Thanks,
Andrew.
Viv.
Bye.
See you guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.